If you're like me and you go all in on your grind, whether it's YouTube, business, school, freelancing, but then wonder why you feel completely empty afterwards, you're not alone. I feel this way, or I used to feel this way a lot more before. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I really rarely get to see anybody talk about, and I wish more people spoke up about it. But I want to talk about why giving your 100% towards your work is not enough, and why you need to 100% your breaks as well. I've learned this from experience the hard way. Freedom doesn't come from working nonstop. It comes from recovering just as hard as you hustle. So for context, I'm 23 years old, a millionaire from YouTube and real estate, still working in college part-time because I want a backup plan, but I also enjoy learning. But most days, I play video games. I wanted to share how reconnecting with a 10-year-old group chat saved me from burning out completely and just sticking with getting a normal 9 to 5. It all began with obviously the business that I was starting up. I've always kind of been a person to half do everything up until I was entering college. That's when it really hit me that in order for me to both be successful at college and be successful at business, I'd have to actually apply myself. Till then, I thought my professors and teachers were just saying words out of their mouth for whatever reason. Like, what does even applying yourself mean? But as I got older, I really realized like that does matter. You have to apply yourself to anything that you're interested in. And so, from then on, the moment I entered college, I became a go all in type of person. And this was great. My mental was at the best it's ever been. And I really knew that if I wanted to chase my dream, it was now or never. This is when it gets serious. So if I'm doing YouTube or any other business, I'm going to be taking it to the max, working as hard as I possibly could, because I saw all sorts of people on social media at that time doing the same thing. All they did was sacrifice. Sacrifice your friends, sacrifice your health, sacrifice everything you could possibly sacrifice to get that money up. And I bought right into it. I would literally work until I couldn't think straight because I believed if I pushed a little harder, I'd finally feel free. And what this would feel like is basically like a soccer game. Imagine you had a soccer game that was coming up tomorrow. That high you'd be on before waiting for that time to come was the high that I would feel while working. But by the end of the day, I would be so burnt out that I just lay on my bed and it'd feel like the best few seconds of consciousness I'd have in the day, which is a terrible, terrible way to end your day, by the way. And a little bit of context of what I was doing at that time, I started streaming. And so my streaming began during my first year of college. And this lasted for 8 months, especially since it was Rona. It was school from home. And so I had all the time in the world. I used to wake up in the morning, 6 in the morning, every single day, stream for 2 hours, eat breakfast, stream for another 2 hours, and call it a day there. But my work did not end because I wanted to upstart my YouTube channel. I wanted to run a server. It was a lot of stuff going on at that time. And I thought if I just 100%ed my working, it would be good. But what I didn't realize was my health and mental were the two things that were lacking. They were the things that were depreciating and I was sacrificing alongside my social life. With that context being said, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I got the results I wanted from it. I got a huge fan base, I got a lot of audience from it, I got paid subs, I got paid donations, a bunch of stuff just for doing these actions every single day. But it was not sustainable. The results were showing, but I was also showing drain. My mental was at one of the worst positions ever. And that's exactly when it hit. 8 months in, I hit burnout. I didn't realize how dangerous it was to keep outputting results like this or inputting inputs like this without ever refilling your tank. Because all everyone ever talks about is a social battery. But you also have a work battery. And that work battery needs recharging every day. Okay? You can't just keep doing that. And so I didn't realize that. Nobody ever told me that. But luckily at that time I had creator friends that also experienced similar things to me. And despite this, it just kind of felt like they were enabling the fact that I did get burnt out, not giving me tangible solutions. And to make things even worse, I think one of the easiest ways to completely dissipate burnout is by going outside, taking a walk, doing something physical, because it literally enables chemicals in your brains to get released. And so that's probably one of the biggest cheat codes there is to this stuff. But anyways, that burnout sucked. I felt like I couldn't do anything. Since I was a gaming YouTuber and streamer, I couldn't even open the game and be content with that. It was that bad. I felt fatigued. I felt disconnected from what I thought was my dream. And I didn't even enjoy even when I got some wins in. Even when things were all going well on paper, I felt numb. That's how I knew that the burnout had kicked in. There were days I'd open my laptop and just stare at it. Like, why am I even doing any of this? What's the point if I feel miserable? And so the point was 100% effort without 100% rest leads to long-term failure because there's nothing long-term about it. What matters is that there's balance. It's like yin and yang. You have to make sure that you're 100%ing one thing and the other end of it. So the turning point for me was literally the most random thing. I was sitting there, I wasn't working on my goals anymore because I procrastinated a lot of it. And there was this weird sensation of just wanting to reconnect with some old friends of mine. So I started talking with a group of online friends that I've known for a decade. We'd hop into calls, play games, talk about dumb stuff, not business stuff, and just chill and talk to each other. We enjoyed our company and I didn't even think about the business. And it wasn't only that group. I've met some other online communities as well, and they were just as fun to just hang around with and talk to as we talked about our own personal things we went through and just experiences on our day-to-day lives. They were all my age, so we were all able to relate to one another. But the impact that had on me long term was immeasurable. That little shift, spending real time with people who didn't expect anything from me, recharged me in ways that no vacation ever could. For a few months, the burnout disappeared, and all it took was hanging out with them. And it wasn't because I stopped working, it was because I finally started resting properly the way I should, enjoying time with friends where I wouldn't have to think and my cheeks would hurt from laughing. That was what I needed to reset my gears, to reset my working battery, because tell me why, after that period, although it was a couple months, I could have just hung out with them for a few days. I felt amazing. I felt like I could work for the entire year. So here's the truth. If you're the type of person to 100% your work, you can't just kind of rest. You have to rest with the same intensity, intention, and dedication, commitment that you put into working. But I could just say this and be done with it, but I don't think that's very tangible. Because I could just tell you to 100% your breaks, but what does that even mean? That basically means you don't feel guilty. You know? That feeling of guilt when you're enjoying yourself or you're spending time and you're realizing, man, I could be spending time on my own business. But instead I'm out here doing what? Just messing around? So you have to give yourself some breaks without the feeling of guilt. There's also a very dire need to disconnect yourself from that. That means no checking analytics, no checking your page, no checking your YouTube analytics if you're a YouTuber. Have productive sessions, I guess, with your business, but keep it no productive in terms of breaks. Okay? Activities should feel freeing, not like you're still working. I also recommend not half resting. For example, scrolling on TikTok is something I like to call half resting because I don't really count it as really turning off your brain. You still have time to think while you're doing that. So some tangible steps that I'd advise, I guess, for avoiding this sort of burnout is creating scheduled real breaks. Like for example, when I was in a relationship, I'd have Fridays off for us to just hang out, turn off everything business related and just hang out with them. I created no work zones, so just areas in my life where I don't really work. Physical or digital spaces where literally my business does not exist. Friendships is another way, so that's the cheat code that I like to use. Doing things with no outcome, so hobbies. For me, it's biking. There is no real outcome to biking. I just do it. Working out, games, art, walking. It doesn't matter what it is you do. Just do something without it benefiting your business. And then look back and really audit your rest that you took. Was it really that restful? So in summary, freedom doesn't really come from nonstop grinding, but I truly believe it comes from a balance. If you're going to 100% work, then 100% your recovery as well. Next time you take a break, don't just take it. Own it. Live in the moment. Give it your everything. Really enjoy it, because that is the limited time you get to spend with your friends or yourself. So comment what your version of a 100% break even looks like, because I'm curious to what you guys do. And if you've ever come back from burnout, what helped you guys the most? For me, it was friends and working out. But working out was my biking. So if this helped you guys out in any shape or form, feel free to subscribe. And if you guys want to reach out, we got a Discord and an Instagram. Feel free to reach out to me. Peace.